Okay.
Hello, folks. Thanks for tuning in again to the Britt, Kanawha, West Hancock Athletics Podcast. This is episode 30, and tonight I'm excited for this one. I have a former teammate and friend of mine from, he's just a year younger than me, Dave Smith, aka David DeVaul. Thanks for coming on with me tonight, Dave.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
You bet. I'm excited. And like I said, it's episode 30, and it's also the 1 year anniversary of starting this podcast. So a year ago today, January 13th, I got on here with Kevin Sanger, and I was just hoping a couple people would get on and watch it and be entertained by it. And it turned into episode 30 tonight, 13,500 plus views. That's an average of like 450 views per episode. 600 plus people are on my Facebook page. I've had 20 different sponsors. That's equaled out to about $3,000 raised for the Sanger Legacy Fund. So I just want to thank my sponsors and thank my guests and all the people out there watching and listening, and hope you enjoy lots more. And my goal is to get to 100 episodes in the next couple of years and see where it takes us. So yeah, thanks again, Dave, for coming on. But before we get to Dave, I want to recognize those sponsors. Obviously, we're raising money for the Sanger Legacy Fund. Lots of good things coming up with that, including the new West Hancock Hall of Fame that they're getting ready to launch this fall, and we're going to help fund that. I've had some people asking about what that money's going towards, and we got a lot of good stuff going on with that. My sponsors tonight: Ewing Funeral Home and Monument Company, Mary Jo's Hobo House and Catering, Jay Hiscox of State Farm Insurance, First State Bank, Mojo Productions, Daniel's Auto Collision, Katie's Salon and Tanning, Deemer Realty, and Nick Schmidt are my sponsors for tonight. And then Dave's going to plug his music tonight, so he's kind of a sponsor for us. He's got his guitar off to the side ready to go. So yep, so thanks to my sponsors again. Always appreciate them doing what they do. Winter sports update. Boys basketball with Jay Hiscox head coach. They're 4-8 overall right now, 3-5 in the conference. On Tuesday night, they lost to Lake Mill 61-43, but the week before that, they beat Garrigan for the first time in 5 years, so Jay was pretty excited about that. Ryland Barnes is leading the team right now in scoring and rebounding. Girls basketball, Paul Sonia is head coach. They're 9-3 overall, 6-2 in the conference. Kennedy Kelly's leading the team in scoring, 184 points on the season. Leah Aitchison with 66 rebounds leading the team there. They beat Lake Mills by 10 the other night and only lost to Garrigan by 1. They had a shot at the buzzer to win it, and then Garrigan's the number 2 team in the state. They played really well that night. Tomorrow they were supposed to play Eagle Grove at home, I believe, but with weather that's going to get postponed, it looks like. Next week they have a game against Garner Hayfield Ventura, so that's always a big game. Wrestling with head coach Mark Sanger. Last Saturday they won the St. Ed's tournament. I was looking at the schedule, didn't see a whole lot coming up except for the conference tournament on the 29th. So I know they're ranked in the dual team rankings and have a couple ranked wrestlers. I just haven't seen a lot of records and results from them. Let's do my way back when segment here. Like I said, this is episode 30, so we got lots of these to get through. Doing this to get my sponsors more more publicity, get my episodes more views, and just help people if they miss an episode, they can get to them. 5 episodes ago, on episode 25, was the state championship podcast with Jay and Kevin. 10 episodes ago, on episode 20, was Rod Barkema, Kanawha coaching legend. 15 episodes ago, on episode 15, was Jim Trulson, 98-year-old man who founded Trulson Auto Parts. 20 episodes ago, on episode 10, was John DeLeon. And 25 episodes ago, episode 5, was the 1973 state championship football team. I'm going to do one last plea for my Russ King project. Dave, I don't know if you've seen a few episodes prior, but episode 18, I met with a guy who taught and coached at Britt in the mid-60s before Coach Sanger got there. And he left Britt and went to Northwestern, Orange City, and he won a national championship in football as an assistant coach. And they each got wristwatches to commemorate their national championship. And I wanted him to show that to me, but he said it got stolen in a home invasion back in the 80s. And he's been wanting to get that remade or get it replaced, and said he just never thinks about it after so long. And so I have a company here in Indianola who is getting it replaced for him. Almost an exact replica. It's going to be ready in about 2 weeks. Wow. And I'm asking people to help cover that because it's about $675. and I'm about $150 away, and I just got it made on good faith and hope that the money will show up and come in from some people who had him as a teacher and coach. So my last plea tonight, if you're interested in helping with that project, just reach out to me on Facebook or email or however you can get a hold of me. So so we can help Russ King, a great guy to talk to, and still has good memories about his time in Britt. So all right, Dave, here we go. Thanks again for coming on. Like I said, Dave and I go way back. We were neighbors. Jake Moore was one of our best friends. We'd get together all the time. Hung out 3 a.m. ping pong battles at my church house. We listened to all your rap CDs up in your bedroom.
Yeah.
Had a good time. So what do you remember growing up in Britt? Who'd you hang out with besides Jake and me and a couple other guys? And what was there to do in Britt back in the early 2000s?
Yeah. I mean, actually drove by your house when I was in Britt over Christmas. Have you driven by there recently?
The old church house? Yeah, it's looking a little rough.
Yeah. Because I think Mario moved in there for a while after you. And apparently nobody has since then, I guess. But
yeah, I think Jeremy Lester bought it and he was going to renovate it and kind of put it up, but I think they ran into some snags there. But yeah, that was a fun house. We had basketball hoop and skee ball and racetrack thing, little figure eight, and then ping pong, pool, carpet ball.
I mean, that was truly a big part of my childhood too. You know, I always wanted one of the race cars so I could go over to your house and race them. Skee ball for sure. We played the heck out of that. But most of the time I got into like BMX biking for a little bit there. I had a GT dyno, and there was I think Luke May had like a dirt track in his backyard or something. So we would like rent bikes, but most of the time it was just basketball at the courts. I mean, just going up there playing with Tyler Whitty. You'd come up there. We would get some crews sometimes, but it kind of dwindled over the years, it seemed like.
Yeah, Mario, he'd show up.
Yeah, Mario was always there. Trinity would
30-year-old, whatever it was.
Yeah. I would I'd pull my 89 Lincoln up and then like blast hip hop music, which probably wasn't appropriate for the town. But I would open my door so I could like shoot hoops. But anytime I would see someone come around, I'd like run to the car and like turn it off real quick.
Oh man, we've getting some battles up there. No blood, no foul type of basketball back behind City Hall in the library. But yeah, exactly. In our ping pong battles, you and I were both defensive ping pong players, and Jake would get so mad at us because neither of us would take a chance. And we would just hit it back to the other person, let the other person mess up. Like 1 point would take minutes. And we'd go to 21. And we'd literally play like 2-3 games would get us to like 2-3 in the morning sometimes. And Jake would just go home or fall asleep on my couch or whatever.
Oh man, late nights. And you obviously had a bunch of movies too because of Mark's Pizza. So that was always fun because I used to go up there and rent them. And then now I'm like, we can just go to Kroll's and watch them.
Yep, I think a lot of VHS tapes disappeared in those later years when it was down in our house and people pretty much had full access to it. Yep. And I used to take some of those and take them to hobo golf and put them around trees at the golf course and let people find them like an Easter egg hunt. So,
that's awesome. Yeah. I remember too, hide and go seek in your house was awesome. Especially when I think you had the pews in there for a while, right?
Yep. So you could hide in between a couple pews and it would take minutes or so to finally get to where you were. And my parents sold them. People came with chainsaws and chopped them up into sections and took them out the door, and they use it to like refurbish other things and stuff with them. So that was
really
kind of fun to watch. But
could always put a bowling alley in there back in the day. That'd have been fun.
Yep, we had a golf net upstairs. That was
that's right.
Balls. Yep.
Dang, man, that place, it was a fun house, and they were so welcoming. Like they wanted the neighborhood there.
Yep.
It seemed like anyway. And then wasn't there like a membership for a while, or like?
It was kind of like a youth center for a while, so kids could just come a few days a week after school and hang out. And then they put the movie store in there because they were getting rid of Mark's Pizza and kind of transitioning. But then after a winter in there, my dad was getting like $1,400 heating bills every month because it's such a big old building. He's like, we can't live here very long, so had to get out of there.
Were your parents? I mean, I knew like your mom was the sweetest thing, and I knew your dad too, but not maybe as well. I feel like I was around your mom a little bit more. I just remember that.
Well, he
Were they
was.
just, like super? I mean, is that their character, just welcoming? And
Oh yeah, yeah.
what was their agenda to do it?
The Rittimas had it before them, and when we were interested in buying it, that was kind of part of the deal per se. Was we'd like you to keep doing that for a while, and it didn't last maybe as long as we wanted it to. Just kind of stuff changed and whatnot, and then they took over the barn in Buffalo Center, and that kind of obviously took up their time. But yeah, they're always been like that. My mom is probably too selfless sometimes, I'd say. She just always gives and gives and gives, and obviously never expects anything back in return. So yeah, there's some good times growing up.
How is your brother doing at golf? Did he
Uh,
like
he,
get
he
going?
he doesn't get to golf as much as he used to. He still does, wins the club tournament up there every year or so. But he's coaching basketball and has
Oh, cool.
does construction and works for a guy for an agriculture company, and they rent out some houses and they keep pretty busy. So I don't think he gets to golf as much as he used to, but he had a good run.
Yep, yep. I remember he was a stud.
Yep, yep. He always put me to shame, but I got my hole in one before he did, and
Really?
he was not happy. Hobo Days 2014, the only round of golf I played that whole year, got a hole in one, and he was so mad at me because he
Hole
plays.
five?
Yep, yep,
Yeah. That was the class. I mean, I thought I was gonna get one every time.
yeah.
And then me and Ben would take that hill, Ben Hartman with the golf cart, and we rolled it a few times.
Yeah. Oh, that sounds like Hobo Days right there all over again. So,
Yeah, exactly.
yep. So, what are you up to these days, Dave?
Well, I live in Nashville, Tennessee now. And the only really tie I have back to sports now is we have season tickets to the Titans, who just won the AFC. They've also rated them the worst number one seed in all of the NFL. They're like, this is the worst team. But anyway, so I still watch a ton of football, way too much, but my wife loves it too. So we watch a lot of football. I write music for a company called Reviver Publishing. So we can get into a little bit more about what that means later, but they basically kind of link me up with other writers in town, and their whole agenda is to try and get a good pairing that would write a song that could be pitched to so-and-so artist, whoever's like cutting at that time or recording. And then I also work at a bank, and we do music entertainment finance. So we work with a lot of athletes, with a lot of musicians, record labels, business managers, and we kind of just help with the private banking side. There's a thing called catalog sales. So if you're like a really big artist and you've had a lot of success with your music, you can get a pretty good chunk of money if you want to sell it. So we can kind of help with that, or lend against music royalties, which not a lot of banks know how to do it, but yeah, we do.
Yeah, one in Nashville.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep. Cool. And you said you're married and you have a 1-year-old, right?
Yep, married. I got a 1.5-year-old named Weiland. He's walking. He's starting to do the whole like tornado thing, just grabbing everything and throwing it. So yeah, my she's in banking as well for an entertainment bank. So she does works on the mortgage side.
Nice.
Yep.
Yeah, I have 7-year-old twin boys, so we got double tornado back in the day, and
yeah,
they still have their moments. So
I mean, it's fun now though, because when they're like such a freshborn, as a dad, you kind of feel a little like in the way a bit. Like, how can I help? Change as many diapers as you can. But when you see like them go through what they went through, you're like, gosh, I mean, you just want to help, but they just don't want their mom. So now he's like, he wants his dad, and we play.
Yeah, want to play. Anyone who will give him attention.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep. So I'm going to get to our first sponsor here, and then we're going to talk some West Hancock basketball and football. Back in the day, I'm pumped because we played together, so a lot of these seasons we're both a part of them. So, but our first sponsor for tonight is Mojo Productions. Mojo Productions, based in Britt, is your full-service DJ business that specializes in wedding DJing. They're fully insured and give back to the community. They're also the presenter of the Britt Car, Truck, Bike, and Tractor Nights. Contact Jared at 515-408-1074 or send Jared a message on Facebook. That's Mojo Productions. All right, so we're going to start with basketball. You're a year behind me in school, so what would be your sophomore season would have been my junior season, etc. So your freshman football season would have been 02, your freshman basketball season would have been 02, 03. We're going to just look at your last 3 seasons because you played varsity 3 years, and then we'll get into football a little bit. So you started for 3 years for Coach Drake. For the first 2 years, Robin Drake, and then Dale Hesley took over your senior year. We obviously, everyone knows football, we were more successful. Basketball, we were kind of teetering on that 500 line, never really got over that hump until 2015. They made it to state 3 years in a row. You and I love basketball. We're both good football players, and that was something we poured a lot of time into, but you and I always felt poured a lot more into basketball maybe than some other guys. That was kind of our favorite sport, even though football kind of trumped it most of the time, is kind of how I always felt. You and I were in the gym quite a bit together. Wish we had more success on the floor, but we had a lot of fun, and we're always, I thought, pretty competitive, give or take a couple games every year. But we didn't have shooters. I mean, you and I were both our best shooters, and if I'm in the top 2 in shooting, that's probably not good for the team. So, your sophomore year would have been my junior year, 2003, 2004. We went 8-12. Aaron Rasmussen talked about this season because that was his senior season on the podcast I did with him. Coach Drake was our coach. We didn't have any all-conference players back. Aaron Rasmussen played the most of any of us. A couple of us played a little bit of sophomores, but we had Nick Hesley, Adam Brower, Travis Johnson, Gabe Mitchell on that team before us, and they were a pretty solid team. So you got thrown into the mix as a sophomore. What do you remember about playing varsity as a sophomore? Not just playing varsity, but you were the point guard.
Yeah. I mean, I remember it being faster for sure. Like it was definitely a different level. So there was like nerves, like if I could have just mentally gotten to a point where I could play free, I think I could have been better. But I just remember it being a lot faster. The talent was better. And I was just like, I don't want to make anybody mad. I'm like the sophomore young kid. So I'm just trying to dish the ball or, not trying to upset anybody. But we had some people rise to the occasion, I think, too. Like, I think Jacob Maddox and Joe Pauls, I think they got better as the year went on. And we also had, Fields.
John Field. Yep.
John Fields, who, he could really turn it on some games, too. I feel like if we all could have clicked at the right time, we could have had some better results, I think.
Yep, I agree. I had on my notes here, you, me, Justin Johnson, Chad Eisenman, Rass, Joel Pauls, Jacob Maddox, and John Field. We all intermixed in the starting lineup, ate up probably most of the minutes. I think, Derek Mazzoni mixed in a little bit. Some of those guys, but Jacob Maddox especially, he went from playing nothing his junior year, not even on varsity sophomore dressing, and he came in senior year and lit it up. He was kind of a Cinderella story per se. His free throw, amazing. He could shoot. I mean, it was about hitting the ceiling every time he shot.
It was a rainbow.
And he would squat down his butt would be out on the ground. Then he'd go straight up and that ball would launch up about 30 feet in the air and he'd swish it almost every time.
I know. And he had that spin move. I think he was lankier. He'd just spin move and put it up. I mean, I thought he got especially towards the end of the year, I just think he kept getting better.
Yep. He had a good season. And Joel too, that one Osage game at home where they were so much better than us. They beat us when we were on the road by 30, but they came to Britt. And I think we were kind of frustrated at that point of the season. There was some stuff going on. And we won by 1. I told this in the Rasmussen episode. Joel made the ugliest 2 free throws I've ever seen in my life. One of them hit the back of the rim, line drive, and it stuck on a piece of gum back there and just fell in, rattled another one in, and then he took a charge at the buzzer and we won by a point. That game always sticks out to me. And then the Ventura game, the one where I got tossed out.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that was fun.
We all had some attitudes, I think, for sure.
Oh man. Do you remember Joe Wolfel for Lake Mills, that big center they had my
Yes.
senior year?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
Yeah.
tall kid with black hair. I took
Yep.
a college class with him, and I asked him during that college class, I'm like, what does your coach tell us about playing us? And he goes, just prepare for a football game on a basketball court, is pretty much what he said. He's
Yeah.
like, they're all a bunch of football guys. I mean, I know like Jake Maddox and Field didn't play football, but the rest of us did.
Oh
And it was
yeah.
always just like physical, and
Hey,
yeah, we had a chip on our shoulder.
sorry.
So the
Jump up.
dogs are getting in the action. So
Yep.
yep. So yeah. So did you feel like after that sophomore year, you kind of got a grasp of the game and the speed of the game, and I know you put a
Yeah.
lot of time in the gym in the off
Yeah,
season.
definitely. Like you said, I think there was like a cultural we're a football team on a basketball court. I think I would have preferred to play things differently, but that's just kind of what we had around us, you know?
Yeah.
So I definitely got more used to the style that we played. I think Drake started opening it up maybe my junior year, senior year, where we ran a lot of ocean.
Yep.
So we
Yep.
were, more on the perimeter, one guy kind of floating in the middle. I think we were a little more enclosed my sophomore year, if I remember
Yeah.
correctly, like a two-post set.
Yeah.
Well,
We
we
did
had
a lot
Paul
of
Maddox too, and you and
yeah. We're very post oriented. Yep.
and you definitely took over the post position because you were like, I'm gonna be Dennis Rodman and just get rebounds. I just remember that being like your focus, like you're the rebound master.
Yeah, and intentional fouls too. But yeah.
Yeah, of course.
Yep. Yep. So yeah, we're gonna
But
get to
I
that.
mean,
What's
I
that?
had some games there. Like I'd start the season because we played. Remember we played Garrigan, or I think it was a Garrigan or Algona, and it was the first or second game of the year. I hit a 3 to tie it at the end, and then they threw a bomb the last second of the game.
Emmitsburg.
They had Emmitsburg. They had like a 7-footer.
Yep, that'd been my senior year. We
Yeah.
lost them in overtime. Yeah, you hit a shot, tied it, 2 seconds left. They chuck it down. Someone didn't stay back. It was me or Field. I can't remember, but yeah, it was like a wide open layup at the buzzer, and we lost by 2. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
But we had that year. I was like, okay, I think we're gonna be good because I think Eisenman was in that year. He played.
Yep, my
I
senior
didn't have to
year.
run point because I don't think I should have been really the point guard. I could handle the ball, but I would have rather been like a shooting guard,
Yeah. Yep. I'm gonna get a few sponsors here, and then we're gonna talk about that senior year of mine, your junior year. Katie's Salon and Tanning is owned by Katie Walk. She's the mother of Braden Walk, 2-time state football champion. They're located on Main Street in Titonka. They've been up there for about 16 years now. Her services offered are men's, women's, and children's haircuts, colors, perms, waxing styles, and tanning, plus many brands of retail are available. Find Katie's Salon on Facebook or Instagram, or call her at 515-928-2303 for appointments. And she says, go Eagles. Daniel's Auto Collision in Charles City is a new sponsor, just starting a few episodes ago. Owner Jason Daniels is a 1990 West Hancock grad. Whether you need a minor fix-up or complete collision repair, Daniels Auto Collision is North Iowa's premier auto body shop and will have your vehicle back on the road looking better than new. With over 30 years experience and all major insurances accepted, why take your chances with anyone others than Daniels Auto Collision? Call them at 641-220-3805 or email them at danielsautocollision@gmail.com or check them out at danielsautocollision.com. So yeah, let's get to that senior year of mine, your junior year, 2004, 2005. We were pretty decent. I mean, we were 10 and 11. And at that time, anything hovering around the 500 mark was pretty good. It was a tough conference. I mean, Forest City was loaded all the time. Lake Mills was solid. They had lots of good years. Osage went to state, I think, your senior year, and they had kids starting since sophomore year. Garner and us were pretty comparable. Newman was pretty competitive. I mean, there really wasn't a blowout win to be had in our conference. So for us to go 6-8 that year, I thought we did pretty well. We should have beat Garner one of those games, even both of them. We came back and almost won from being way down, but just a good conference. especially Garner. If we would have played them 10 times, I think we would have won 6. Maybe they would have won 4 type of thing. But
Yep.
North Iowa always gave us a good battle. Newman, Belmont, the
Mhm.
teams we beat. Even the games we won were not easy. So, and
Yep.
yeah, I have in my notes the Emmetsburg overtime loss you brought up.
Yeah.
Lake Mills, we scored 40, or we gave up 40 points both games each and lost both games. You give up 40 points, you should win you should win that game.
Yeah.
The game I want to
Did we have
talk
any
about.
blowout?
What's
Did
that?
we ever dominate a game? I guess maybe like CWL, maybe.
Even then, we only won by probably 15, I think. But we play in their little ragtag gym that you can barely move around in. Type of
Oh
thing.
man, it had like the stage and the. I guess ours did too.
Yeah, but the WCLT game is the one I want to talk about. We went over to their gym, and I call it a tiny piece of a gym. It's tiny to begin with, and then they use the restraining lines, which shrinks the gym down even more. So we're down 44-40 with 28 seconds to go. John Field hits a 3 with 11 seconds left. Justin fouled them. I think it was Andrew Hanna. Missed the first free throw. I got the rebound. Got it to Chad with like 5 seconds to go. He traveled once, stepped out of bounds once. There was like 4 things the paper said that we did illegally in those 5 seconds. Didn't call any of them, and Chad went down and made a little bunny at the buzzer, and we won by a point. And I remember their fans were going nuts. Their players were like on the ground, just beside themselves. That game just, we shouldn't have gotten that shot off, let alone gotten a chance to win it. That just killed me.
But a fun moment. I mean, whenever you win in the last second, I don't even think I would have noticed that he stepped out, or because he might not have even really stepped out. The way they taped that court in.
Yep, and the bench, you're pretty much on the court anyway. Your feet are dangling over. But so we had some good times that season. You had a good year. I have in my notes here that you and I led the team. We each had 16 threes in conference play. And again, I said earlier, if I'm one of the top 2 shooters of a team, that's probably not a good thing. But but I was all conference. Field was honorable mention. I was surprised you didn't get honorable mention or something. I thought you had a good year, really grew a lot. We only had 4 seniors that year on the first 2 teams of the all conference selection. So your senior year was going to be loaded. There was a lot of sophomores and juniors that made all conference. I was just happy to play with you those couple years, and we had a good time. Those, like you said, Paul's and Maddox and Chad and Justin and all those guys, always doing something stupid. I remember before games, we would go walk around the other school and just explore the school and find all nooks and crannies in their buildings. Newman had like a secret baseball factory and an extra gym, and
that's right.
They played baseball year round, and
we should have been watching like maybe some tape or something like that. But I didn't ever at the time. Now I feel like I could watch tape and get something from it. But then I was like, nah, man, just go out there and play. Just do your thing and beat them. But anyway, that wasn't. We were into more just hanging out and having a good time before the game, and then seeing what happens.
Did
you say on Aaron Rasmussen's episode about like taking showers or something like that?
About 4 or 5 of us would take showers before the game. That was our way of relaxing and getting mentally ready for the game. Drake was the girls and boys coach at the time, so Dale Hesley was in charge, and he was just don't do anything too stupid, type of thing. And we'd take a shower and get our gear on, our jerseys and stuff on right before Drake would come into our locker room to get ready for our game from his last game. And took showers, and I think it was Lake Mills. We all ordered Casey's Pizza. A bunch of us ordered Casey's Pizza before the game and ate it on the way there on a bumpy bus. And I just remember Cal and me and a couple guys were just like running off the bus to go find the bathroom afterwards before we could go get in our locker rooms. Like I
couldn't imagine doing anything after eating that much pizza today.
Yeah, it's like, yep. I don't know
there
why
was
we did it.
From like, I think he was from Newman I think it was Forest City. He would drink the rumor was he would drink a 2 liter of Mountain Dew before every basketball game. I don't know if it's true, but it was a great white lie if it was.
Yeah, no kidding. Yep. Yeah, so my senior season ended with a 3-point loss in the first round to Armstrong, so I never won a playoff game. I had the flu a few days before that game, barely survived being out there. I think we could have won a few playoff games that year, the way the bracket was set up. I think North Iowa and North Kossuth were in there. They were both decent, but
Mm-hmm.
we were on a good day. I thought could have been competitive with them, but it just wasn't meant to be.
I
So
don't remember much about that game. I know we could have just won more, like I just remember losing and the season being over with me like, that's it? Like, how do we not win some of these games? But I don't remember Armstrong being like that great. It was
no,
almost like when playoffs came, every team was just scrappier or something. Like
yeah,
they were just a scrappy team, if I can remember right.
yep, and we just couldn't quite get the job done. So yep. All right.
Yep.
Before we get to your senior season, I'd like to thank my longest sponsor I've had, Michael and Brianne Ewing of Ewing Funeral Home and Monument Company, locations in Britt, Kanawha, Clarion, Belmont, and Dow's. Mike's a 1998 graduate of West Hancock, and his family's been privileged to care for the communities of Britt and Kanawha since 1977. You can find them online at ewingfh.com or on Facebook, or give them a call at 843-3839 or 762-3211. Like always, that's Ewing Funeral Home and Monument Company, and I appreciate Michael's always just like, how many episodes do you want me to do? Here's the money. Here you go. Have at it. So they're good people over there. And then Nick Schmidt is a 2000 West Hancock grad. He's not with a business or anything. He just likes what we do and wants to sponsor and give to the Legacy Fund. So thanks to Nick for sponsoring a bunch of episodes for me.
Heck
All right,
yeah.
so your senior season, 05-06, Coach Drake left. I believe he went to East Marshall, and he was the girls' coach there for a number of years before he got ill. Dale Hesley stepped in, and we all love Dale. He's still helping with the girls' team right now. He was our JV coach. We had a good JV year with him. Just can't say enough good things about Dale. I was happy for him to get a chance to become the head coach. What do you have to say about Dale before we dig into your senior season?
I loved Dale Hess. And I loved Coach Drake too. He was a basketball mind for sure.
Mhm.
And Dale just had a different approach where it was kind of like, all right, let's see what you guys can do. Put a little bit more on the players, and it was a little less robotic, some freedom, I guess, if you will. I think it started off really great. I remember having some like really good early games. And then I think we just got out talented, towards the end of it.
Yeah.
To where we kind of maybe didn't have the strategy, and some other teams came in full court pressing, and we kind of ended up having some tough games. Forest City was obviously like super good my senior year. So I remember those games just being super tough. But his coaching style, loved him, and loved Joel as well. They were both really good. They believed in me and kind of wanted me to kind of run the offense and stuff. And yeah, I just remember being let down again, kind of. I think it was after my senior year, my mom got me these gold Nike shoes when I was in 5th grade. And I had her get me size 11 and a half because I grew 6 inches that summer. So I was like, I'm going to wear these, when I grow into them. And lo and behold, I didn't grow very much after that. So I never really fit into the shoes. So I wore those shoes my last game of my senior year. And we lost to Ventura, I think.
WCLT was your
WCLT. Yeah,
Yep.
yeah, yeah. And I threw them away. That was the end of those shoes.
Like, really?
End of my basketball career.
$120 on those and toss them away.
Yep.
I'd agree with you with coaching styles. I know sometimes we didn't always get along with Coach Drake, but man, he knew his basketball, and I benefited from his coaching because I was in shape and I could get up and down the floor, but I was also a post player who had decent post moves, and so the offense we ran that he put together benefited me because it allowed me to get the ball down low and do what I needed to do.
And
but
you could
Dale
go
was
outside too, right? You would pop outside for threes and stuff. Like,
yeah.
kind of let you be down and out a little bit.
Yep. So I always enjoyed how we ran our offense. Could we have run more? Yes, but I think a lot of teams we played I don't know if we would have won that running match against them over a 4-quarter game. But yeah, Dale definitely let us play when we played for him on JV, and I'm glad to see that he got a chance to coach you guys at the varsity level. Rachel Lear was my last episode, and Dale was her assistant coach for the girls team all 4 years, and she spoke so highly of Dale as well. And I'm glad he's still doing what he does. He loves basketball. So
Yep.
tell us about Micah Smith. He, in the paper I read, only went out his freshman year, and then he came out like a few weeks into the season. Do you remember what happened there with Micah?
Golly. Yes, I remember because he was quarterback for us
Yep.
the senior year. And I think we always played basketball growing up because I was neighbors with him when I grew up on the farm. So I knew Micah like really, really well. And we would play basketball in my like little driveway growing up. And he was pretty good. He could handle the ball. And I don't remember why he left, but I barely remembered him actually going out now that you mention it. But that's right. He came out, but I think he must have just been burnt out, just got off the football season and wasn't really his thing. And so he just, I think, left.
Yeah, Dale in the paper was saying that he was kind of a spark plug. They were kind of glad that he randomly went out all of a sudden because it filled some gaps needed. Tyler Swinson, John Mallen, Brady Wilson, Josh Willert were some of your teammates on that team. Those guys were pretty young. John was just fast and all over the place and great defensive player. Always just getting in people's shorts. And then Tyler
he could like replace Justin Johnson. You know, like Justin was kind of that guy, but then John had probably a little more ball handling skill, just overall basketball skills, maybe, I guess. A little more fundamental.
Yep, and then Tyler was a big tree down low. You couldn't get around him very easily. So,
and we played together from 5th grade because his dad, or no, not his dad. Sorry, that was Brandon Morris. But Tyler Swinson was definitely. I mean, we grew up playing ball from like 5th grade in Little League all the way through junior high and stuff. So I was used to playing with Tyler.
Yep, and we're around Tyler a lot. He was my neighbor, Jake Moore's neighbor, and then we were, when we moved, you and I were neighbors, and he'd come around with Andrew Fetters and a bunch of those guys that have a good time. So, So you got to play WCLT back-to-back games to end your career. In the regular season, you guys played them. You nailed 6 threes in that game. You guys won by like 12, I think. And then you got to turn around a few days later and play them in the postseason, which is never typically a good thing. Like if you beat a team twice in a season, having to play them a third time doesn't seem to go well. So you guys played them in the postseason over in Ventura. That game didn't turn out very well, like we said. You averaged, I found, 11 to 12 points a game, 3 assists a game, and you were honorable mention all conference. Funny thing, when I messaged you, I said, Dave, were you all conference your senior year? And you're like, I don't remember. So
I don't. I mean, I loved, this. I loved basketball so much. I went to Iowa Hawkeye basketball camps growing up. So it was just like, I don't know. I just let myself down every basketball season where I was like, I feel like I'm capable of more. But then it just, anyway, I don't want to get on my soapbox. But yeah, basketball season was always disappointing because I loved it so much. And games like that last game, hitting the 6 threes, I know I can do that. And then you get into a game in the playoffs, and I felt really like almost paralyzed, like I couldn't get it done.
Yeah.
And
it's tough, man.
Mental or what, but it happened to us more than once. I'll put it that way.
Yeah. I got to tell one story. Oh, actually, you got to play in an area all-star game after that season in Mason City. And I was telling you before we hit record, I think they started that year. So I missed getting to play in that game by a year, of course. You said that was a pretty cool thing to be a part of. What do you remember about that?
Yeah, I remember it was a brand new thing. So it was fun to get to play with like the 4 city guys, and you kind of got to feel like you could show them what you really could do, I guess. And it was definitely more relaxed, kind of like an open gym, which I guess they don't do that anymore in Britain. They should bring it back. I loved open gym. But yeah, kind of had that vibe, and you got to kind of be on the same team of like people that were your villains for so long, and you realize we're all close Northern Iowa boys, and
Yep.
you become friends with them quickly, I guess.
Yeah, it would have been a lot of fun to play in. I'm going to hit a couple of my sponsors here, and then we're going to get to football. And before that, though, I get to my sponsors. I'm going to tell one last basketball story I didn't put in the notes. Might embarrass you a little bit, but it's been, 15, 17 years, so I think we'll be over it by now, right? First State Bank in Britt takes pride in their community-based values, and they want to be your bank. They take pride in serving the Eagle Nation communities. They can personalize your banking needs however you need to. Bill pay services, all sorts of things like ag loans, real estate, products to serve you best. You can bank on their 24/7 convenient online banking, account inquiry, making transfers, and bill pay are all free services. Check out First State Bank in Britt. Again, try their mobile app with all the conveniences of their online banking. So thanks to First State Bank in Britt for sponsoring. And also thanks to Mary Jo's Hobo House and Catering in Britt. I'm sure you had quite a few meals up there, Dave.
Oh, yeah.
Huge West Hancock supporter for almost 30 years now. Travel Iowa voted the Hobo House as having one of the 10 best burgers in Iowa. Visit Mary Jo's Hobo House for lunch and breakfast every day, uptown at 72 Main Avenue South. Call them at 843-3840, and don't forget that they cater. I'm going to do one more here and then tell you your story. What's that?
A hobo hash. That was my game.
I try to get up there every year for Hobo Days before the golf tournament and have some hobo hash.
Oh, yeah.
And then Renee Deemer with Deemer Realty is one of my long-term sponsors. Hometown hospitality and service with a smile. That's what Deemer Realty is all about. Helping buyers and sellers make a smooth transition when moving within or to the area is their top priority. Serving North Central Iowa since 1999, Deemer Realty has steadily grown over the years, establishing an outstanding record of sales in the North Iowa area that speaks to their dedication to every customer. So check them out at deemerrealty.net. That's Deemer Realty and Renee Deemer. So Lake Mills, my senior year at Lake Mills. We're down by, do you know where I'm going with this?
I don't know.
2 or 3 points, not very much time left in the game. I should have popped the tape in to get my details just right. We have the ball at half court. You're to inbound it, and we're going to run whenever our set plays. And instead of running the inbounds play, you just take the ball and dribble it in from the sideline and just start dribbling it in. The ref blows the whistle and asks you to hand him the ball. And we're all like, Dave, what are you doing? And the look on your face was like, I just want to crawl into a hole and die right now. I'm pretty sure by the time we got on the bus that night, we were all over it and we were making fun of you, giving a hard time and giving you crap. But
that's how it went. I mean, it was just like mental errors galore. I don't know what the heck. Oh my gosh.
I didn't put it in the notes, but I'm like, I can't not tell that story. So I better.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
Well, the funny thing is, I had a lot of the same situations in music too, where like I sang a national anthem once and like hit a wrong note, and like I literally crawled under a table when I got home and like stayed there. And I was like, I'm never singing again. And then, hey, overcame that one.
Yep, the sun set the next morning and everyone went to work. So
yeah, exactly.
Yep. And so, yes, before we get to football, 2019 NBA playoffs. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so always wanted to be in the NBA as a kid and was way off track. Came up super short. Didn't even go play AAA college or nothing. So later on in life, I ended up writing a song, and I had a contact with somebody who worked in the NBA marketing division. And they were like, hey, do you have any songs that we could use? So I sent them one, and they wanted me to rewrite it for the NBA, but it kind of came off like super Space Jam like, which I didn't want, but I'm like, how do I make this song like more basketball, you know? Yeah. I don't know what to say. So that week I ended up writing a totally separate song. It's called You Should Have Been There. It was like about like a house party, like, oh, you missed it, you should have been there. But then that phrase kind of like caught on with them, and they're like, oh yeah, like if you're at a game, like, oh, you should have been there, you missed it. Mm-hmm. So they're like, we want to use this this song for the NBA this year, like, but we want to wait for a big game-winning shot. So the season goes by and nothing happens. I'm like, they're never going to use this song, you know. And then I see the game where Kawhi Leonard is playing for the Raptors, and he hits that Game 7 3-pointer, and it's like bouncing on the rim and it goes in.
Yep.
And I was like, oh, if they use it on that shot, oh my gosh. I wake up the next morning and my social media is blowing up. And yeah, NBA used it. And that was an awesome moment because it relieved my NBA dreams, I guess.
Yep. You made it. You made it to the big time. Yep.
Made it to the big time.
And I remember I got posted, I think your sister posted something about it. And so I went and, checked it out, and I showed a few people, and that was pretty fun. So
heck yeah.
There's your claim to fame right there. You're an NBA All-Star.
Exactly.
Yep. So let's get to some West Hancock football here. 2002 to 2005 were your 4 years playing football. You were those 4 years, 34-7 overall record. You were a part of 3 district championships. You didn't play varsity your first 2 seasons, where we went 9-2, made it to the Dome in the quarters. 9-1, made it to the first round of the playoffs, except your sophomore year, 2003, against Forest City, would have been my junior year. You got to run the ball once, and that ended up being a 55-yard touchdown run. Literally the only time you touched the ball that game. You went 55 yards to the house. I'm pretty sure
5 yards a carry.
Yep, good average.
Yeah.
You're in the record book for many things, actually, but that one in particular. I think I was playing right tackle at the time, and I feel like you went off to the left, so I probably, was a decoy on the other side, got, everyone's attention. So.
Oh, you helped. I just remember Tyler Whitty running. When I broke through, I just was like, well, I'm on varsity. I mean, these guys are fast, I didn't know. So I'm like, they're on you. And I just kept running. And Tyler Whitty's like, you got it, Dave. You got it. Just chasing me down. Then I got there and I was like, holy smokes. That was an awesome feeling. Yeah.
Yep. And against Forest City too, Coach Sanger could not stand Forest City for the most part because lots of reasons, but it was always fun to beat them. That was the game where we went 245 dive, like 15 plays in a row, off left tackle. They were sending everybody to that side. And then finally Coach Sanger called like a counter, and we like reversed it the other way, and no one was over there at all. You could have done cartwheels into the end zone. He loved every minute of that stuff. And then their coach and AD after that game were like, we're never playing you guys again. Like, we're 3A, you're 1A. What's the point? You beat us, Then they finally played them a couple years ago, and the outcome didn't change a whole lot. So
really, so they did actually stop playing them.
Yeah, from 2003 to 2019, they stopped playing. And then we started up again 2019 and 2020 played them, and then we didn't play them again this last year. So.
I don't see how they're not a little bit better, though. They've got athletes.
Yep, they always do, but a lot of them, I think, just stay out, don't go out so they can stay healthy for basketball. And
yeah, that's true.
It's a culture thing. I mean, people wonder why West Hancock football is always so good, and it's a culture thing. Like, it's just, decades of good football breeds more good football, and it's hard to build that. So.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So my senior year, 2004, was your junior season. To me, it's still the disappointing season. 7-2, we missed the playoffs. We dropped down to A that year, and people were just crowning us state champions before the season started because, like, it's Class A football. It should be easy. And we learned there's really good teams and then there's really bad teams. And unfortunately for us, there were 3 really good teams in the district, but only 2 can make the playoffs. And we didn't get to be one of them. We were a few horses short of making a good title run, and we had some injuries at the wrong time, but you had a great season. You pretty much were our kickoff guy. You started at linebacker on defense. I just was going through some stats. You had 9 tackles against Garner, 11 against North Iowa. You stepped in at running back when Justin Johnson got hurt. You had a rushing touchdown against Janesville. And as starters, we only played like half of the game. 7 of those 9 games. Northwood and Riceville are the games we got beat. We played all those games, and unfortunately, they didn't go very well. But I think if we were healthy, we'd beat Northwood and maybe win a playoff game, get to the quarterfinals. I think it could have been different, but it just didn't turn out that way. But when we're complaining about a 7-2 season, we're in a pretty good program. So
yeah, exactly. I remember Northwood and Riceville being like super tough, but then we're playing teams like Janesville or that we're blowing out, so it's hard to prepare. It's like when Alabama's blowing out all these teams and then they have to face the Georgia, or then they get their one test. That was kind of what that conference was like that year.
Yep, a lot of blowouts. The JV played more than we did, and then when it was time to go, it was tough. So, but you were a good punter as well. You're always good in the kicking game.
Should have been a soccer player.
Stepped in and kicked some extra points for Nick Hartman every once in a while.
Yeah.
But I do remember our third string kicker, Ricardo Bravo.
Oh, yes.
I have him on Facebook, still chat with him every once in a while. He went out to kick an extra point, and he got knocked down on the play, and like he cramped up or something. And he was laying on the ground just screaming and yelling, and Coach Sanger comes out and he's like, you done yet? Like, come on, man. We got to finish this game, get this over with. But
I forgot about Ricardo. Yeah, we had those like couple foreign exchange students would come in and be like, dang, dude, this guy's got a boot.
Yep.
He just grew up playing soccer.
Yep. I always enjoyed the foreign exchange kids. They were always fun to talk to. Lena from Germany, blonde gal, and then Ricardo and Vinny Morrison or something like that. Same thing, got him on Facebook. It's kind of fun to touch base every once in a while. But
that is cool.
Enjoyed talking to him. So yeah, let's get to your senior year. This was a much better ending to the season than my senior year. You guys started the season by losing to Garner by 5. They scored towards the end, won the game. A kid was doing like a cartwheel on the field. I remember I came back to watch, and I'm like, oh boy, I hope this isn't going to be a tough season like ours was, where we don't do as well as we should. But then you guys went on a tear.
Mm-hmm.
You were winning games 56-0, 65-0, 60-6, 63-0, and then the Sheffield game at homecoming, you guys won 70-3, and then that got us to the Northwood game on the road. Mm-hmm. We won 13-12. Again, the fear was we weren't playing anybody. Like we're not prepared to play a good team like Northwood, especially on the road. But you guys, your defense was so good that year. We stopped them on a 2-point conversion, I believe, to win the game. We're down 6-0, take a 7-6 lead at halftime, scored in the third to go up 13-6, and then they scored right at the end and went for 2. Says John Mallen and Colton Harms scored the touchdowns that game. You made the 2 extra points, which ended up being kind of the game winners.
Hey, I'll take that.
13 tackles that game. Do you remember much from some of those games looking back on it 17 years ago, or is it kind of blurry?
Well, I 100% remember that Northwood game because so after the Garner game, we had kind of the stigma because we were probably more equipped with talent the year before. So I just remember this feeling of like, oh, this is the West Hancock team that's going to be the letdown of our, whole history of West Hancock football. And I was like, no, Mm-hmm. So we had gotten up at 6 a.m. every morning and started running after that game. And we would meet every morning, Monday through Thursday or whatever, get up and do sprints no matter what. And so we just kind of rebuilt that in our minds. And then that's really what led us on a tear. So then we get to that Northwood game. We obviously knew who we were going to play because of the year before. And some senior from your class is outside the fence. And he goes, just like last year, boys, just like last year. And did that fire me up. And I was like, did you just hear that? Did you hear what that guy said? And I would always do these like pregame speeches that were probably ridiculous, but it fired me up. And I'm like, I got to fire these guys up. So, that game, I was like, we're not doing it. So I just remember I just wanted to hit people as hard as I could. Mm-hmm. And I just kind of remember that, just trying to get to the ball on defense and just smack them.
Yep.
And that's kind of the way our defense played, like that year, it was just, I'd tap the defensive line on the butt and be like, come on, get in there, Colton, get in there, Colton. But, he was my other linebacker and he was really great that year, but it was fun. I just remember having a blast my senior year in football.
And you guys were very sophomore heavy that season with Brady Wilson and Willard and Levi Dawn and Wester and
Tyler Kohlsdorf.
Yep. Yep, a lot of good young guys coming up there too. With
Yeah,
and then
that was
John
just a
Smith
great class to have, like, for depth alone, you
Yep,
know? Anybody gets hurt and you bring in a sophomore that's super talented, they were a big help.
yep. And we always joke trying to make light of our senior year not going well. Like, well, we prepared these freshmen for the next 3 years. You guys went to the Dome 3 years in a row, so we found a way to justify our lackluster season. But
Yeah.
and then the next week, home game against Riceville. So the year before, they beat us 32-6. I mean, we went over there in a rainy game and they just beat the tar out of us. They had a lot of their kids back. That running back, Nate Litke, I think was his
Yep.
name.
They had that
Um,
wide receiver.
Grant Lilly or something like
Maybe
that.
it was. He was kind of tall, like
Yep.
6'3", 6'4".
Yep. So they had a good team. We beat them 19-9. Kind of got some payback in those last two games from Northwood and Riceville. They kicked a field goal in the first quarter to go up 3-0, and then Colton Harms scored at the end of the first. You kicked the extra point, so we're up 7-3 going into the second. They scored shortly after that to go up 9-7, and that's all they got. Colton scored again. We got up 13-9 at halftime, and then they did nothing in the second half offensively. And then you scored an 8-yard touchdown run in the third to make it 19-9. Final score. No one scored in the fourth. Gave us the win, the district title, barring a loss to Janesville, and then a playoff berth. You had 11 tackles that game. Do you remember kind of the build up to the playoffs? It's always kind of an exciting time in Britt, thinking about,
Oh, yeah.
5 days from now, there's a playoff game coming up.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it was just exciting because we were obviously super let down the year before. So that was just a big accomplishment to have, made it to the playoffs. And I mean, we didn't know what was going to happen. We didn't, because you're playing teams you don't know as well either. Who do we play the first round?
Postville.
Yep. I think I remember hearing they were going to be pretty good, or they had some success in the past too. So
yeah, they're always decent. I mean, they're respectable.
Yep.
We got a home game with them. It was a rematch, if you can call it that, from the 1973 first round of the playoffs. The first team to ever win state for Britt. We won that game 36-8. The game you played in was 35-0. You scored an 11-yard touchdown. John Mallen had a touchdown. Colton Harms had 2. It was 20-0 at halftime, 35-0 at the end of the third. The continuous clock was going. Wasn't much of a game, really. I think I came back for that game and just remember they never threatened to really score. And then you guys found out that night that the next game was going to be in the Unidome, in Valley of Elgin. So if you don't know your playoffs, semifinals and finals are always in the Dome. First round, second round, quarters are usually played at home sites or a neutral site. Back then, they let teams play in the Dome in previous rounds. A lot of times, I think it came down to traveling and stuff like that. So we played Valley of Elgin in the Unidome in the quarterfinals. Unfortunately, it ended up being your last game, but what better place to end your career than in the Dome, even if it's not in the semis. I just remember those dudes were huge. There was 3 linemen that were listed at 300 pounds each. We out yardaged them, if that's a word, 290-233, but we only got 1 score in the second quarter when John scored on a 6-yard touchdown run. They ran the kickoff back right after that, 91 yards, a touchdown. That Sodoma, I think was his name.
Yeah, he was a running back, right?
Yeah, yep.
He put a lick on me.
Yeah.
I was linebacker. I went down, and usually I get him, and that time I was like, holy moly, dude, he had some power.
Yep, it's gonna be a long day. Yeah, we just couldn't really muster up a whole lot of offense after that. Even though we had 290 yards, thinking back on that game, I rode up with my parents and a friend from Nyack where I was going to school, and it was just like, man, we're gaining yards, but we can't hardly get anything going, a good scoring threat going. They just outmatched us up front. Those big dudes they controlled the ball. We couldn't get around those big guys. I think we could have won if we played them 10 times, probably split with them type of thing. But
it felt like we could have won even during the game. Like the whole game, I was like, all right, we're good. Like they're tough, but we're gonna get going here. And then it was just time kept going away, and it was just Yeah, that was a frustrating game.
Yep. What can you say playing for Coach Sanger, Coach Perkins, the staff, just being part of West Hancock football? What do you think back on that?
I mean, like we said before, basketball was kind of my thing, but I think when you're embedded in like a culture like that, by the senior year, it's just like, oh man, I just want to keep playing football, because the coaching and the support and the crowd support was so good. Perkins was awesome. He just had a great mind. He believed in you and pushed you. And then obviously Coach Sanger, just being what he is, I mean, he's an intimidator. You want to play your butt off for him, like whenever he said something, it was like, I gotta go in there, give it everything I got. I don't want him mad at me. I've actually had dreams like after the fact that I got to go back to high school and play like at my age.
Oh boy.
Yeah, I would last a minute.
Yeah.
I mean, back then we were like never left the field. Now I'd be like, oh my gosh. But I'll forget like my jersey or something. And then I'll just hear like Sanger being like, Smith, get out of here. Go get your jersey. Or I'll bring the wrong color jersey. I mean, still, I have dreams about it.
Yep. He was always in the right place at the wrong time is what I would say. Jake Moore and I would do something stupid, and you turn the corner, boom, there he is every single time. He just looked at his head like, you morons.
Exactly. You never wanted to embarrass yourself in front of him, but then somehow you always would.
Yep, but he loved it. He would never show that to us, but you just knew he was like, good kids doing dumb stuff. It's not like anything serious or crazy or anything. But yeah, I can't speak enough, obviously, about those guys. And the fact I got to play for Coach Perkins at least 1 year. Some guys didn't get to do that because he gave it up for a couple years. But man, just so many good memories.
Yeah.
And still, I still, kind of help do some stuff with the stats and the records and stuff, and get to be a part of it with Mark Sanger. And it's just a fun tradition to be a part of. So
yeah, really is. Definitely, probably. I mean, that's the highlight. And then what's cool too is we got to play football. So if I'm telling people in Nashville, like, oh yeah, I played football in high school, and they're like, were you any good? I'm like, well, yeah, we were awesome. I mean, we're a small school, but we're a really good culture. But would I have played if I grew up in Brentwood? I don't know. But
I don't know, man. You look at all the guys that went on to like Central College,
yeah,
small town Britt guys, and they go to a good school like Central. D3 football is nothing to laugh at, and we produce I think 7 or 8 All-Americans, bunch of all-conference guys. I think we produced some pretty good players. So I think a lot of those guys could have stepped into some other eras or other classes and done pretty well. So.
Old Chris Slugger, I taught him in Little League Baseball.
Yeah.
And he goes and gets the tryout for the Steelers. That was really cool.
He's still playing in the Canadian Football League right now.
Oh, nice.
Yep. Starting, I think he's an offensive lineman up there. So.
Very cool.
Yeah, he's ran for like 5,000 yards as a running back in high school, and now he's a professional lineman. He's done pretty well. So.
Yeah.
Yep. And I found a newspaper article leading up to that Valley of Elgin game. Your mom was interviewed in it. I love Brenda. Always enjoyed talking to her. She just talked about the community support of West Hancock football, said that, it's a football town, a football school, and that the kids are confident but humble. I just thought it was a neat article to read that, the way your mom talks so highly of you guys. And I always remember just hanging out with your parents. And we watched the Super Bowl together one year. I think it was the Raiders and Buccaneers down in your basement. And I think I talked to your mom the whole time, if I remember right.
Oh yeah, she's a talker. She's super sweet and one of the best bakers in town. She can make some desserts, man.
Yep.
Surprised I wasn't an offensive lineman myself with all those sweet.
Yeah, you finished your career with 15 rushing touchdowns. You scored 119 points, which ranks pretty high up there in the record book for points scored because you were a good kicker. You ran for about 900 yards, and you were all district twice. I'm pretty sure as a linebacker, if I remember right. So you had a good career overall. So,
yeah, it was fun. I mean, and I wished I would have known. Like defense was just something I had to do, or like, oh, we're playing defense. But looking back, I was like, well, yeah, I was a much better defensive player than I was offensive. But you know, you kind of also want to be the guy who's like putting up points and stuff.
Oh yeah.
But
Yep.
it'd have been fun to like just focus on one position and like give it everything at that one spot, you know.
Yep. Yep. Yeah, us linemen were the ones that gave you all the, publicity in the paper. We did the dirty work,
Yeah,
so you guys could get all the stats and accolades. So
exactly.
yep. Jay Hiscock, State Farm Team in Britt, is a proud supporter of West Hancock and the Sanger Legacy Fund. They can help you with all your insurance needs, including auto, home, life, farm, business, and renters insurance. For a free quote or review, give Jay or Lindsay a call at 843-3563. Go Eagles! And thanks to Jay for hopping on. They're sponsoring some additional episodes after their first sponsorship was up. So thanks to Jay, and good luck to he's the head coach of the boys team now. So good luck to the boys.
Oh,
So now music. You are down in Nashville, like you said, doing some writing and stuff like that. And the bank you work for kind of incorporates music in. So we thought this would be a great opportunity for you to kind of put your brand out there, and you're gonna do a song or two for us. So you
yeah,
want to give a little more background if there's anything we missed earlier about what you do?
yeah. Obviously, I went to moved down here in 2010. So before that, I was kind of in like a little acoustic band in the Quad City area. And then I was like, man, this is really fun, you know, because before that, it was just all sports, really.
Mm-hmm.
I love to rap, but I mean, I didn't know what I was
Cool.
going to do with it. And then so found a school called Belmont University, which has a really, really prestigious music program, and ended up coming down there and had some pretty good success at Belmont. I was in like this top vocal ensemble,
Mm-hmm.
which was a pretty big honor, especially at like a school like that. Because I didn't go there really expecting to be like great or any, you know, not that I am great, but you know, I didn't expect to have any like sort of acclimates. But then things started happening. It's like, wow, okay, I'm good at this, you know? So kind of kept it going, got in a great circle of friends who are also songwriters. There's a songwriting program at Belmont.
Mm-hmm.
So met a lot of friends like that, and they kind of pushed me more into writing and started getting into that. And then this town is very, you can succeed at songwriting. So it's really hard to give it up, because if you get a song to go number one, which it's right outside your door, you know, it can be a pretty good payday.
Yeah.
So no matter what you do after, if you can write songs, it's kind of like, well, I can work a job, but I'm still going to write songs, like if I'm good at it. And you kind of get these little successes happening, and you get a little bit closer. So it's somewhat addicting to kind of be a songwriter, because it's hard to give up, I guess, if you
Yep.
will.
Yep.
And I don't want to. I enjoy it.
Yeah, exactly. It's almost like a hobby that you sometimes get paid for, type of thing, right?
Yeah, exactly. And then like get some new mailbox money is what they call it, you know. And then I ended up recording a project last year called Rain in LA. So I met with the producer and we recorded some songs that I'd written, and that seemed to do pretty well. Got signed with a distribution company who kind of puts it out there and pitches it. And then I got a publishing deal as well. And like I said before, you know, they hook you up with other writers and trying to get some cuts. So I've had, you know, Josh Grayson's song that actually got to play up in Iowa quite a bit. It went to country radio, charted at like, I think like 82 was its peak. But still, to get any song on the radio is it's definitely an accomplishment. So that was really cool.
Do you get like, I have no idea how this works. Do you get like royalties off the songs you write, or do you like sell the rights to the song? You get like a one-time lump for it? I'm just curious how that works.
Yeah. So if you wrote a song and I write a song, you record it, you're a big country artist. I would get my writer share, which is like 50% of the revenue. So all these radio companies, you know, they're paying to have the use of this song, and then they get paid by the ads. You know, that's how a dumbed down version of like the way radio would work. So any of that money, they're using my material, so they would have to pay for it. And then there's companies that are called PROs, BMI. You may have heard of BMI.
I'm not sure, no.
There's BMI, CSAC, ASCAP. They regulate all the spins that are going around the country, or the world for that matter. So if your song plays, they track it, and then they can pay the writer. So if you don't have a publishing deal, you would get your publishing share and your writer share. If you sign a publishing deal, then they get the publishing portion of the money. I get the writer share of the money.
Okay.
So there's tons of different options that you can have. And then there are cases. So like the NBA song, that would be a one-time payment. So they did like a licensing deal. So they pay for the rights one time. That would be a little different scenario, but.
Cool. Yep. So mailbox money. Every once in a while you go to the mailbox and there's a check there and you're like, oh, cool.
Exactly. Nowadays it's directly deposited, which is also nice.
Yeah. Yeah. Where'd David DeVaul come from? Because you're Dave Smith, but how is that just kind of like a pen name for a writer type thing to kind of make it stand out a little more, or how'd that come to be?
So in 2014, I went on American Idol, made it to Hollywood, got to perform in front of J-Lo, Harry Connick Jr., and Keith Urban. Keith Urban thought I was a perfectionist, and he didn't give me the pass. But Harry Connick and J-Lo loved me, so I got the golden ticket and got to go to Hollywood. But they were like, do you go by anything else other than David Smith? I was like, well, yeah, I kind of, I've gone by David DeVaul, which was my dad's last name before he was adopted.
Oh, okay.
So it would be like, if he would never adopted, I would have been a DeVaul had the stars aligned, and I was born regardless.
Interesting.
Yep. So that's where the name came from. It wasn't just made up and sound cool. I'm not a big golfing fan,
Yeah.
David DeVaul.
A little differently, but sounds the same. Yep.
Yep.
So on American Idol, did you get to interact with those three besides like that first audition, or what was that like?
Yeah, I actually have a funny story about this. So the whole time, it almost feels a little scripted because every performance. So to get to Hollywood, I played an original song, which not a lot of people will do. They'll play cover songs or whatever. But I was like, well, if I'm going to go, I'm going to play a song I wrote. So made it with that. Like I said, Keith was kind of not in on me, but the other two were. But then every performance after that, it was the same scenario. It was like Harry Connick and J-Lo loved me. And then Keith was like, I don't know about this guy. So we made it, me and one of my best friends actually made it to the group rounds, and we were in the same group together. And then that's when I ended up getting kicked off. So you get to interact a little bit, but I was only down there for about 4 or 5 days.
Okay.
And then it's a whirlwind. I did get to work with Michael Jackson's vocal coach, which was really cool.
That's cool.
So
it's not, because they show it over weeks and weeks and weeks, but you guys film everything like boom, 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 see you later, see you later, see you later. And then it's like, whoa, that's over and done with.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It was, honestly, by the time I was like off, I was totally fine with it because you are up 20 hours a day. Could be 22. Like the first night, I don't remember sleeping at all.
Yeah.
And then you're constantly waiting to perform, and you're on edge. You don't know when you're going to perform. And then all of a sudden, boom, it's your time. So yeah, it is nerve-wracking. And they do that too, because a lot of people start kind of losing their minds. And that's when they'll bring the cameras out, and start filming. And then like you got an 18-year-old in there who hadn't eaten in 12 hours and they're deprived of sleep, and they go crazy. Yeah.
You want to see who's going to make it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's cool. All right. Grab that. Oh, yeah.
One quick more story. So now I work for the bank, and we present number one parties. So Keith Urban had a number one song called Coming Home. He wrote it with Jaden Michaels. And so I got to go speak and present them this donation on behalf of the bank. So I get up there and I go, Coming Home is a song everybody can relate to. For instance, one time I had to call my mom and tell her I was coming home when I got kicked off of American Idol, but I won't tell you which judge kicked me off. And he goes, stop it. Is that true? And I go, it is true, Keith. But when I got home, I was able to support the music industry in more ways than I ever thought I could. And so we're going to donate. And then we donated to his organization. And he came up, gave me a big hug. So we got to reunite. And,
yeah. Made him feel bad for a brief second. That's good. Good strategy.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm guessing
I got it.
So much of that he can't remember who he's interacted with and been around.
Oh, exactly.
Blur. So that's pretty sweet. So grab that guitar, Dave.
All right.
Platform is yours, man. Do you want to talk about the songs a little bit that you're going to do?
Yeah. I don't usually play this one, but I wrote it with a guy named Aaron Goodman and Skip Black. And I write a little bit more pop music. I'm not like straight down the middle country, but when you're in your pub deal, you kind of need to write things a little more straight country. So I was in my room and I was like, I mean, I grew up on a farm. I grew up in a small town. Like I should just write something about, where I come from or whatever. Mm-hmm. So I wrote this hook and then brought it into them, and they were like, "Oh man, that's great." We tried to change some lines, and then we came back to all the lines I'd written. Yeah. So this song's called "He Says, She Says Town." There's one line in here that kind of references Garner Hayfield in an indirect way, but you'll get it. So he says, she says town.
I'm at it.
Hard times when it's dry, bonfires on a Friday night, truck tires up high, gotta jump up, yeah, just to get inside. Dinner plates are homemade and cheap liquors in the lemonade. Cops on the corner, you better pump them brakes. Work gets out a little fast down here, but everybody's got your back round here. And 10 miles down the road ain't the same place, it ain't the same state, but we don't think the same way. We keep it simple in them blue jeans, and fists are gonna fly if you ain't for the home team. We come together the more the world puts us down. And he says, she says town. But you better watch where you park. You can't hide your truck in the dark. It doesn't have to make a headline for everyone to know where you spent the night, 'cause work gets out a little fast down here, but everybody's got your back round here. And 10 miles down the road ain't the same place, it might be the same state, but we don't think the same way. We keep it simple in them blue jeans, and fists are gonna fly if you ain't for the home team. We come together the more the world puts us down. And he says, she says town. Oh yeah. We go to church if we need forgiveness. We make it right if you can't live with it. 'Cause at the end of the day, your business is their business. Work gets out a little fast down here, but everybody's got your back round here. And 10 miles down the road ain't the same place. It might be the same state, but we don't think the same way. Keep it simple in them blue jeans, and fists are gonna fly if you ain't for the home team. We come together the more the world puts us down. And he says, she says town. And he says, she says town.
Nice, good
Our
work,
little 10
man.
mile down the road ain't the same place.
I got that. I caught that. That's good.
We don't get along, y'all.
Yeah, some good people over there, you know. Yeah.
Oh yeah. No.
Yep.
The older you get, you realize we're all good people.
Yep. I want an encore. What do you got for us next before we call this a night?
Yeah, since Nick Schmidt sponsored, this was a song. He actually came down to Nashville with his wife not too long ago, and played this song at the listening room where they came, and he was like, dude, I got to get a version of that song. I don't have it recorded or nothing, so this one is for Nick Schmidt there.
Perfect.
Yeah, you know I'm a night owl. When I get the night out, stay up till the sun rises and the moonlight burns out. When that first buzz hits, I'll be struggling not to stumble back home. Hate it or love it, yeah, I thought it through, But it don't mean a thing. I wasn't looking for love. I was looking for a drink. I don't trust myself with a good intention. Pour me one more drink and I'll make poor decisions. Hey! Yeah, when that time is right, well, I'm ready to roll. I got all the confidence, but I got no self-control. I told myself that I would stick to my guns. One look in her eye, and I thought she was the one. Yeah, I thought it through, but it don't mean a thing. I wasn't looking for love. I was looking for a drink. I don't trust myself with a good intention. Pour me one more drink and I'll make poor decisions, yeah. Ooh, yeah. I like to play with fire to feel the heat. Oh, but that burning desire just keeps on burning me. I like to play with fire just to feel the heat. Yeah, but that burning desire just keeps burning me. Well, I thought it through, but it don't mean a thing. I wasn't looking for love. I was looking for a drink. And I don't trust myself with a good intention. Pour me one more drink and I'll make poor decisions. Pour me one more drink and I'll make poor decisions. Hey, hey.
Good, man.
Hollering and hooting over here.
That one's for Nick Schmidt.
Yeah.
So you can find Dave on Spotify, and I just did a Google search, David DeVaul music, and a bunch of stuff popped up. So check David's stuff out, and he'd really appreciate it, I'm sure. So
yes, nice work, thank you guys. Thanks to everybody who listens to this and watches and supports Dan, and obviously the Sanger Foundation. Such a great thing you're doing, Dan. So thank you so much for having me on here. I appreciate it.
You bet, man. It's been a good time to catch up. Next up, I got Duane Cook. We had to reschedule from December. Gene Guenther, the Eisenman Boys, Candace Wilson, and then I just added a few more to put in between there. Chuck Moeckly. He is in his 90s. He was the quarterback on the 1951 conference championship team. He knows a lot of Britt stuff. And then Irvin Gomez from the 2021 state championship team. He reached out to me and he goes, dude, I love these podcasts. I'd love to get more in depth on our championship season. And Irvin, good kid. Coach Sanger speaks very highly of him. And then I have Jeff Nielsen, Bob Horner, John Weiland, Mr. Hauge, Anna and Sara Mallen, Nate Schreur, I'm going to do a second one with. Steve Kelly, Joe Smith, plays for the Hawkeyes. Mr. Padderud, Kevin Sanger and I are going to do another one. The 2007 football team, which would be like Brady and Josh and those guys. And then Travis Hagen. So I have booked out through about next August. So pretty excited for that. Thanks again to my sponsors, Ewing Funeral Home, Mary Jo's Hobo House, Jay Hiscox Estate Farm, First State Bank, Mojo Productions, Daniel's Auto Collision, Katie's Salon and Tanning, Dima Realty, and Nick Schmidt. So thanks again for everyone for watching. It's been a year of doing this and 30 episodes and lots of good things happening, and love to reminisce with people about Britt, West Hancock, and Kanawha. So thanks again for coming on with me, Dave.
Absolutely. Thanks, Dan. Appreciate you.
Take care. Go Eagles.
Go Eagles.